The fight to end all fights in the DC universe is finally here. We're going to get into all the details for DCKO number 1 in this video. So let's go ahead and check it out. Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'm going to be doing a review for DCKO number 1. This is the new cosmic event over at DC Comics. Then we'll take a look at some of the variant covers that you can pull in the blind bags. And lastly, I'll go into details as to everything that happened. Full spoiler, so stay tuned. This is going to be a big one. So let's start with who is behind this insane project. We have writer Scott Snyder with art by Javi Fernandez. We also have Hermanico doing some of the pages of the interlude here, and Alejandro Sanchez doing colors, with Hassan Osmani Elhau doing letters. We'll have a plethora of covers, so you'll get to see all those. But of course, the main cover by Javi Fernandez and Alessandro Sanchez. Um, if you're not aware of what's going on in this video, uh, this is a very cool new crossover from DC Comics. Let me give you a quick synopsis. Also, if you have not filled out your bracket, or if you have filled it out, let's start going to check out all the results. Uh, we have a full video where I go through my own bracket, and then we have a different video in which all four of us in the next issue on a live stream, we fill out the bracket and try to figure out who was going to come out on top in this contest. So, the heart of apocalypse has transformed Earth into a hellscape in preparation for the return of Darkseid. The end of the DC universe is here. The Justice League's only chance to defeat Darkseid is to enter a deadly tournament, an epic, over the top battle royale that will surprise you. The world's greatest heroes fight to become the champion to enter the ring against Darkseid, but there is a catch. The closer you get to the heart of Apocalypse, the more you will be corrupted, and it will change you into something very dangerous. What DC character has what it takes to make it to the end? Who's willing to do what it takes to win it all, even if it means taking down their own friends, family? Do you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. That's right. They're quoting the Batman 89, Michael Keaton, and I'm very, very excited. So, everything that's been going on in DC has been leading up to this all the way back from Absolute Power, the end of Darkseid, the DC All In special. Everything that's happening in the Absolute Universe is because that is a universe that is shaped in Darkseid's image. And now here we are, where Darkseid has been moving backwards in time to destroy everything in the universe. Um, this comic book is insane. Like, let me just put that out there. This is unlike anything I had read in the past few years, and I've read some pretty crazy stuff. I think both DC and Marvel have been given some really, really wild pitches. But man, oh man, however this idea came to be to fruition at DC Comics, just kudos on trying something that is innovative. It's different. We all love a weird knockout, a brawl, but this all kind of makes sense. This has all really been building to this. I think the idea of trying to gamify as well the DC universe, it's really fun, right? Having these 32 contestants enter into this tournament that is not all about brawn. It's about games, and you'll see that as we go through the issue when we get to the spoiler part. But I also want to commend Javi Fernandez and Hermanico are doing such great work, both on the pages leading up everything that's coming up to the fight. Those big moments where you see Darkseid really coming for everything. And then, of course, as we have to enter into this, having to draw all these characters is pretty insane. Like, there is not a time where I've seen so many characters just kind of come into the foil. I think it takes a special kind of artist to really take on this type of load when you know that you have to draw all these very distinct characters to make sure to keep track of all that, make sure that you are also doing really cool things with them, right? As they kind of prepare for this tournament, whether they're picking up a different armor picking up a different power, changing into another battle suit, all those things. Uh, Also, I think Javi Fernandez really focuses on the facial expressions because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of despair, but also there's still a little bit of hope left as we kind of get into these games. So I think both Snyder and Fernandez and Hermonico, um, they do such a great job. I think this book is paced very well, right? This is a 40-page book, 48 pages, I think, if you have it physical with all the ads and everything. But yeah, it's a great work, just everything put together. These chapters, these breakdowns, the pacing of this, the idea that this book is really thinking about what's going on in every corner of Earth to make sure that things are kind of cohesive and they make sense for the story. So it's such a great job. I think that, like I said, this has to be something that they have been doing for a while. So, and I'm very excited to actually go pick up my actual copy. The main cover, it's an acetate cover, which is that little like plastic film that I really love how those covers end up looking. And I'm very excited to see. Also, when you open it, of course, you see like the full illustration, which is really cool. So I might do a follow video on just the covers that I pick up. But speaking of covers, let's go check out all the variants and everything that they have listed on the website, at least on League of Comic Book Geeks, which is where I get most of my information. And then after that, I'll give you a big warning because we're gonna get deep into spoilers. All right, here we have, this is the main cover. This is the acetate cover. So when you open this, you'll actually see the full illustration behind this. Next, we have the Big Time Collectibles Dave Wilkins glow in the dark Virgin variant with Lobo. Really cool design. And then we see here just the Big Time Collectibles Dave Wilkins regular variant with the regular colors. This is not the glow in the dark version. I love a gimmick, and I think I love glow in the dark as an incentive to buy different covers. This is the comic sketch art New York 2025 for the convention by Clayman. Really cool. Batman, Superman fighting. That's always going to get things going. Jim Lee's Dark Side variant. It's very, very cool. This is just regular beat cover. So you should be able to purchase this for the regular price at your shop. Then we have cover seat, one of my favorite ones. You have Superman here given Darkseid a Michinoku driver, if I'm not mistaken. Wrestling fans, let me know in the comments if that's correct. By, of course, number one wrestling fan and fantastic artist, Daniel Warren Johnson, who I'm very excited to see do more stuff over at DC Comics. Frank Cho's variant here, Supergirl, Wonder Woman, battling it all out. This is cover D, so this is also a regular cover. You should be able to find at your shop. Next, we have Jay Lee with a very fun Superman versus Shazam or Captain Marvel, however you want to call him. Next, we have the Mike Del Mundo. Uh, Funny enough, Mundo, of course, means world, which they're holding up the world. So that's just a little funny. Yeah, this is cover F. Once again, this should be a regular cover. We have the Ben Oliver face-off variant, which you can see Superman with the suns that he's using as weapons as part of the story. This is another regular cover, and then we have the wraparound cover H by Dan Mora. This has all 32 fighters, so here you can see half of that, and you should be able to see the other half when you pick up the physical book. Next, we have the Mark Spears Dark Side variant. This is a little bit of a throwback, but once again, this is just a regular cover I. There's not a ratio, so you should be able to pick this up. Regular price at your shop. Next, we have the Virgin foil variant. So these are some of the things that you can pull in the blind bag. So kind of very similar to what they did with the Batman blind bags, which I still have one right there. You'll be able to pull foil variants, foil versions of a lot of the covers that we already saw. This is what's under the acetate once you open that DCKO cover as well. Next, we have the crossover cover with AEW, Dan Mora. Really cool stuff. Of course, we have Hangman Page from AEW with Lobo, the main man. We have this Scott Koblish DC Showcase wraparound foil variant. Very cool. A lot of characters, a lot of stuff going on. This is a 1 in 25 Nuvovish cover. This one should be a little bit more expensive. Although 1 in 25, I would say for a book like this, maybe around $10 or so. Just based on the fact that I know that a lot of shops are getting a lot of these variants. And then, of course, the 1 in 100. This is the blind bag alternate foil of the same cover we saw earlier. A lot of these will be that. We have the Greg Capullo 1 in 1000 blind bag. So this is the pencils for Greg Capullo's cover that you can get as well. This is a 1 in 250 blind bag alternate foil cover. Next, we have the 1 in 500 Jim Lee blind bag foil. And then this is the Ben Oliver blind bag. So this is just you can pull this out of the foil. Once again, Dan Mora also has a blind bag. And then the AEW also has a foil blind bag. Dan Warren Johnson as well. Frank Cho, once again. This is what the Greg Capullo cover looks like from the blind bag. And then the Lights Out blind bag cover. That's just a regular cover with the logo here. So really interesting stuff. A lot of these covers. Mark Spears again, Mike Del Mundo. Let me see if these are just the same. Yeah, we've seen all these. The Scott Koblish, and then Greg Capullo with the trade dress. And then we are back to our main cover. That was a lot of covers. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more stuff that hasn't even been announced yet that maybe you'll be able to pick up at New York Comic Con. So if you're at New York Comic Con this week, let me know what other covers are out there, which one you're picking up. Go say hi to everyone. All right. Now we're going to get full deep into spoilers. This book is broken up into different chapters. So we've been with chapter 1. You probably have already seen this either in the little ash can or in the previews in the back of the notebook. You have Superman, Wonder Woman, Lois, and Batman getting together for a little bit of a game night until they're interrupted by Darkseid starting to destroy the world. Those are the pages you've probably seen. And it's really cool because Javi Fernandez shows how Darkseid really is everywhere. Gotham, the Mascara, the Rock of Eternity, Oa. He's attacking everything at once. And we are back to the Justice League Tower with the Quantum Quorum really trying to put everything in motion. So we have, of course, the World Forger, Time Trapper, Grodd, and Booster Gold along with the Justice League, trying to come up with a plan on how to stop all this. But of course, the Time Trapper doesn't know what to do, right? They explain here that Darkseid is wielding this King Omega force. And it is up until then that Batman comes up with the concept of maybe having somebody in the Justice League take that power. Next, we have the preparations. As everybody's getting ready for the tournament, the rest of the Justice League either traps all the villains. They're trapping them, putting them out of commission, so that they don't go into the tournament themselves, and then also getting everyone on Earth to safety. This is done very well. It's a really quick pace. This is only like 6 or 7 pages, but it really shows you that the Justice League had to move very, very quickly. In chapter 3, this is when we finally begin the game. Earth has started to become this apocalyptic wasteland, and the players are showing up to the tournament. Really cool stuff. I really love what's happening here. Javi Fernandez and the team do this really cool type of these pages almost look like a game board, which is, of course, very parallel to what was going on in the first few pages. So that's really cool. You can kind of follow all the panels in like a little snake way path. And I'll try to put as much art as is available at the time, but there's not a lot of preview pages out there. And then the villains finally show up. Batman is taken out of commission by the Joker, who stabs him through the armor. And we have King Shark, Cheetah, Giganta, Lex Luthor, and of course the Joker. So the Joker, the Joker is actually in the bracket that they put out. Batman is there facing off against, I believe it's Star Sapphire. But it should really be the Joker that's in that spot because Batman does not even make it into the main fight. As Superman tries to help out everyone make it into the tournament, only 32 advance. But here we have the 32 that we've seen before from Dan Mora. Javi Fernandez also gets to do his own representation of this. And actually, I would love to see this bracket as well from Javi Fernandez into a wraparound cover like the Dan Mora. We have all the fighters there, and they start heading towards the heart of Apocalypse. But what they don't know is that in the Quantum Quorum, Darkseid is still infiltrating via Booster Gold. This is illustrated in a really cool way. So there's a lot of surprises, a lot of really cool things that we don't know what's going to happen. But in the next chapter, we will have to choose our weapons. We see some really cool stuff, but what really jumps out at me the most is Lobo wearing Bane's Venom gear. So it's Lobo, but he's juiced up like Bane. Of course, we have Harley Quinn in there as well with the powers of the Flash. So it looks like a lot of these people are kind of trading off. We see Superman wielding Hawkman's mace as well, the nth metal mace, and some of these other characters have been turned into stone. Also, Ambush Bug is part of this. We don't really know exactly what's going on, so that's going to be really interesting. Now, before we wrap this up, here are the things that I recommend you read, and I'll try to throw a little um, primer here. You want to make sure to check out Justice League: The Omega Act. That one came out a week prior to the release of DCKO number one. Then we have the main DCKO series, and the series that will be kind of following the events and the fallout from this will be the Titans, Superman, the Flash, and of course Justice League Unlimited, and then also Aquaman. So those are the ones that are going to be the main things. There will also be some other times like DCKO Night Fight and other times that we'll explore more as this battle continues all the way through March of 2026. So we're in this for the long run. DCKO will explode in December with an all fight month. That's going to be very exciting. So yeah, there you have it. That is everything that happened in the first issue of DCKO. I was going along with this on the copy that I have, and I am very very excited for this. So, yeah, really really cool book. Such a great event, and like I said, I think there's going to be a lot to explore here. So if you have read DCKO, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. Let me know which cover you picked up. And of course, make sure to stay tuned. We'll be following this along very, very closely. Go check out the video where I pick my own bracket. And then also go check out the video where we as a group, everybody from the podcast, we argue to see who we think should be wielding the power of Darkseid. It's actually a really, really interesting pick, at least in my opinion. So, there you have it. Thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye. Can Catwoman help Bruce with everything he's going on facing off against Bane? And also, we have a very special first appearance for a character in the Absolute Universe. So stay tuned. We'll talk about it in this video. Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Absolute Batman number 13. This is a new book from DC Comics written by Scott Snyder with art by Nick Dragotta, Frank Martin on colors, letters by Clayton Coles. This is part 5 of the Abomination story, and we are nearing the end of this story. In this book, Batman's final showdown with the monstrous Bane. Will he be able to overcome this unstoppable behemoth, or will he be trapped in Arkham forever? Gosh, this book, man, I'm telling you, I love what Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta, and every time they have a guest artist, uh, they're all just firing on all cylinders here. I love the relationship. This issue, of course, as you can see from the cover, focuses a lot on finally Selena Kyle, the absolute Catwoman, coming into the picture a little bit more, trying to help out Bruce, trying to help him understand. But we also get to see some flashbacks to the relationship, and Nick Dragotta just really drawing some very tender moments, which I think is very cool. But then on the flip side, we have what these characters have become in the present, right? Batman's been broken and put together. He's got the venom flowing through him, and maybe Catwoman can still help him. But of course, Alfred doesn't trust her, so she definitely she immediately kind of puts that to the shame. You'll see in some of the previews how Catwoman really steps up to the plate, and as she's trying to convince Bruce that she can be there for him, but obviously Bruce doesn't want to risk her because everything that's already happened to his friends, everything that Bane did to not only break Batman himself, but break everyone that Batman relies on. I've been very worried about Martha Wayne for this whole run, and the more that we turn the pages on this book, and the more that I turn the pages on these issues overall, the more I get worried. We also see, like I said, some tender moments. We get a little bit of sexy time between Catwoman and Batman, so that's something that sometimes we don't get enough of, maybe in the main continuity universe, but the absolute universe, it's a lot more than that. And then Nick Dragotta with a really cool homage to the Dark Knight, I believe, with Catwoman and Batman just trying to going into the battle. This is kind of where we're gonna get a little bit spoilery, but we do have a first appearance. So if you don't want to know any further, you can drop off here. Make sure to come back and check out the rest of the video once you've read the issue. You have been warned. We get the debut of not just the Red Hood gang, but the leader of the Red Hood gang, Harley Quinn from the Absolute Universe. A very different take, a very different inspiration. I don't know exactly what the full impact is going to be of this, but there's a lot of people here that are trying to stop Bane from destroying Gotham, including the Red Hood gang, and that's what Selena is trying to see if she can kind of get this going. So it's very cool. And in the meanwhile, Bane's still just, like a monster, just getting stronger and stronger and better, but only because we also learn he has his own motivations. He's trying to become free from this absolute Joker and whatever deal they've made. So ultimately, Batman calls out Bane, and we're getting ready for that final showdown. Will anyone be able to help? Is this something that Bruce has to do all by himself? It's going to be very, very interesting. And then, of course, what will become of the fates of Batman's friends and allies throughout this run? So, very interesting stuff. All right. Before we close out the video, let's check out some of the variant covers. There's a lot of variant covers for this. This is a very special issue, especially because you have, as I mentioned, first appearance of Harley Quinn. We have a first appearance, well, not a first appearance of Selena Kyle, but we do have, this is the first time we kind of see a full issue with Catwoman. So let's check out the rest of the covers. So of course we have the main cover with Catwoman by Nick Dragotta, and the interest. It's a very interesting design for the bubbly helmet. We have this Comics Elite and 616 exclusive by Ivan Talavera, with Absolute Catwoman as well. This is the same Ivan Talavera, but this is just a different version of that cover. And then, of course, the Virgin variant of that. Sometimes you'll see a lot of the same cover, just done very in different ways. This is a New York Comic Con 2025 comic sketch art exclusive. You can probably go to their booth and pick this up. We have this another exclusive here. This is by Rakta Lin. I'm not familiar with that artist. We have the Rose Best New York Comic Con exclusive from Comic Sketch. I actually have met Rose, and I have a sketch from Rose, which is very cool. So I like this approach to Catwoman. This is cover B by Stanley Artgerm. This is just a regular cover you can probably pick up at your shop, and it might be the cover that I pick up. I really like this design for Catwoman. We have Jenny Frizen as well with cover C, another regular variant cover. We have cover D by David Nakayama. This is going to be the foil virgin variant for Art Germ. We have a blank cover for Absolute Batman, which is I'm always looking for blank covers anyways to get commissions on from different artists, so that's very cool. We have a 1 in 25. The trade dress is different on this one, but this is the main cover by Nick Dragotta, and then a 1 in 50 full virgin design, no trade dress at all. We have this East Side Comics New York exclusive by Takashi Okazaki. I'm not familiar with that artist either, but I really like it. We have this ECGCE Chuma Hill variant. Not familiar with the store or the place that commissioned this or the artist, but I really like this design. It looks very cool. Um, we have a Mark Brooks variant, which I mean, Mark Brooks doesn't miss. We have this very, very cool Guillaume March. We have this. This is just I can't tell. I think this is Tyler Kirkham. Yeah, it's Tyler Kirkham. And then of course here's the virgin version of that. You can see it a little bit better. We have Artgerm with a different variant, different colors as well, and I think a little more risque. I don't think that her top is quite that open in the other one. We have a Third Eye Comics Jim Ballant. Uh, you can see here this Tuxedo Tiger Comics. That's a really cool variant. Very interesting that you have both Batman. We have Clay Man with a variant. This is man, this feels very familiar, the design, but I can't quite place what this is an homage to. This is by both Clay and Seth Mann. And then we are back to the main one. I do. So there you have it. That's Absolute Batman number 13. What a fantastic issue. Let me know what you think about this issue if you have read it. As always, make sure to stay tuned. We have a lot more really cool stuff coming into the channel. And of course, let us know which cover you picked up. If you're at New York Comic Con, did you get anything cool? And thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We have a lot more stuff coming, including a lot more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all our live shows over the weekend. So as always, thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye. A whole new era of Transformers kicks off right here, right now. So let's talk about it in this video. Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Transformers number 25. This is a new book from Image Skybound. I am very excited to talk about this, a brand new era. Before we get into this, if you are not caught up on everything that's going on, I have a separate video on the channel that tells you everything you need to know about Transformers so you can get into this this new issue. It's an oversized anniversary issue, so it's very, very cool. So let's get into it. Issue number 25 of Transformers is written by Robert Kirkman with art by Dan Mora. We also have art by Jorge Corona, which is really interesting. I'll get into how that applies into this. Rose Wooten on letters, and of course Mike Spicer coming back for colors. So we got a lot of the team has changed, but also we have that constant of Mike Spicer and Rose Wooten working on this. In this video, the Energon universe will never be the same as the Autobots and Decepticons kick off the most surprising new chapter in the war on Earth. Optimus Prime and the remaining Autobots must join forces with unlikely allies in order to protect their adopted planet, but Prime's next challenge lies closer to home than he ever imagined. And what is the fate of the Decepticons? The creative team of Robert Kirkman, Dan Mora, kick off a new direction for Transformers that will be more than meets the eye. So, Robert Kirkman does something very smart, especially because they are including Jorge Corona, right? Jorge Corona was the artist that took over after Daniel Warren Johnson finished his first original arc. And they do this transition into this world where the first part of the story it's a Decepticon story drawn by Jorge Corona. So you get to see everything that's going on, everything that you would want to know, and how things ended after issue 24 and that big blow off battle. And then we kick off into the Dan Mora pages that really focus on the Autobots and them trying to recover, also trying to come up with these new allies. I think Robert Kirkman does such a good job at unfolding this, and still giving us that humanity that we've been seeing from Optimus Prime all this series, which is very interesting for a robot. We get some sweet, tender moments, but also a lot of heartbreaking stuff. Dan Mora's art is impeccable, as is Corona's. Like they are both. I almost wish that Corona would continue to only draw Decepticon stuff while Dan Mora focuses on Autobots. And maybe that's what's going to happen. I'm not really sure. I haven't really looked too far ahead on how involved Jorge Corona will be, but I don't see his name in the next issue. So this might be just a transition for this oversized issue, which is great. I think Jorge Corona probably deserves a much well deserved break from this. So either way, this is a very well put together book. It gives us a really cool story. The consistent colors by Mike Spicer, along with the letters by Rose Wooten, make this feel cohesive, and they ease you into the transition from one creative team onto the other. But you can definitely notice a shift. I think Robert Kirkman has a very specific plan. He has very specific characters that he wants to play with, and there's a twist in the in the last few pages that will change everything that's going on, including the dynamic of the Autobots, probably in a way that we've never really seen, at least nothing that I've ever seen in the little bit of Transformers media that I've consumed over the years, which really is only some of the movies and a little bit of the comics from IDW prior to this. So either way, very exciting new start. Highly recommend you check this out. Great jumping on point. Even if you haven't read the other stuff, I think this is a place where you can kind of take up and you really get all the information that you need. So let's go take a look at a lot of the. There's a lot of variant covers for this. I see 47 images loaded up onto this. I'm sure a lot of them will be kind of repeats and foils and virgin covers, but either way, it's always really cool to get new Transformer covers. So let's check it out. So of course we have the first main cover by David Nakayama, which Nakayama is a great pick for the main cover. So really I like that they picked an artist that uh, his style really works for this. Although I am surprised that it's not Dan Mora, but maybe Dan Mora has a different cover. Let's check it out. All right, we have this 616 Comics variant by Marco Turini. This is a foil version, so I'm sure we'll see it a couple more times. Yeah, we have this other same concept. We have this Afshari Comics Big Texas Comic Con by Leno Hernandez. Not familiar with this artist, but their style really works for the Transformers, especially with the Decepticons here. I like it. Uh, it gives me a lot of the same vibes that you get from Corona and Warren Johnson. Very cool. We have this Big Alpaca Comics Big Texas Comic Con 2025 by Jonathan Uribe. And then we have this uh, God Clutch Godtail eBay Live comic pack connecting cover. So it looks like this one there's a lot more covers. I'm not familiar with Godtail either. This is a Bill Sienkiewicz New York Comic Con 2025 exclusive from eBay Live. So you can probably stop maybe by the eBay booth at New York Comic Con and check if they have this. Another big clutch New York 2025 eBay Live cover for Megatron. And then the same cover here with the trade dress and then the black and white version. I think this is the connecting part to the other one we saw earlier. That's very cool. eBay Live getting into all these comics here, and then here you can see both. So these are the face-off connected covers. Those are very cool. We have this Mark Brooks cover. This is the Virgin variant of that for New York Comic Con. If you're at New York Comic Con, you're making out like a bandit with all these covers. This is the one with the trade dress. Then we have Pete Carroll with the Virgin variant of very similar to what we saw from Megatron. And then of course, so these probably go together as well. The Pete Carroll ones with Megatron and Optimus Prime. Suspiria Vilches, maybe I'm not sure how to say that last name, but this is another New York Comic Con exclusive. Uh, Big Time Collectibles by John John Yang, who I've met here at Dallas Comic Con. Miko Suyan as well from Big Time Collectibles. This is Tyler Kirkham. You can probably check this out at. It is for comic inspiration, but I'm sure he might have some at his own shop. And this is also a connected cover. So as you can see, we have the fight between Megatron and Optimus, and then switch them back around. Very cool. Daniel Warren Johnson does do another cover, which is also very exciting. Um, Jorge Corona does his own cover as well, which I believe this is also a connecting cover. We have Kale New with the 1 in 25 ratio cover. Dan Mora doing a 1 in 50 design for Jazz. Oh man, if he's going to do design variants for all these, it's going to get nuts. Jay Lee, who is an artist that I would not expect to see on Transformers, but I'm very excited that he does. We have the Autobots blank cover, the Decepticons black cover, and then we see the David Nakayama foil variant. This is the same, the die cut cover by John Armour. Then we have this Eric Canete die cut cover as well. So this you can see in the back. You'll probably be able to see the full picture once you open the book. East Coast Comics. Not sure who that one's by. Martin Savala here. That was probably the same one as the previous artist. Alan Qua with all the Autobots. Oh, this is one of my favorite ones that I've seen. The Akira style Javier Fernandez. Then we have the Chris Campagna variant. Mike Mayhew for another New York Comic Con exclusive. And then the one with the trade dress, the one without the trade dress. Noma's Comics, another exclusive by Hector Trunick. So many artists that I've never heard of. That's so cool. Chris Marchman again with the trade dress. Who is this? Jason Howard, I think, who was an artist in the main run. Livio Ramon Deli. And then we are back to the main Nakayama cover. So I think the lesson here is if you're going to New York Comic Con 2025, you're going to make out like a bandit. If you're looking for Transformers covers, you can check out all those other retailers that I mentioned, the Evil Life booth, Big Time Collectibles, all these other ones. 616 Comics, I think, is a really big one too. So there you have it. What an amazing book. And I'm very excited to see where we go from here in the series. Really cool stuff. So if you have read Transformers number 25 from Image Skybound, let me know what you thought about it. Let me know which cover you picked up. If you attended New York Comic Con, please share with me which variant you were able to pick up, because as you can see, there's a lot of really cool ones, and I'll be having FOMO at home. Thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live, and I can't wait to see where the Energon universe goes from here. Thanks for watching, everyone, and Autobots, time to roll out. Bye-bye. As we enter the age of revelation, this is binary and the universe burns with her. Let's talk about it in this video. Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Binary number 1. This is a new book from the Marvel Age of Revelation line. This is the alternate X-Men future in where the X-Men are thrown X years into the future and everything's a little bit different. This book is written by Stephanie Phillips with art by Giada Belviso, who you may previously know from the Laura Kinney series with Erica Schultz, colors by Rochelle Rosenberg, letters by Travis Lanham. This book follows Carol Danvers. X years later, in the ashes of a world to survive, she is reborn, a cosmic force channeling the Phoenix itself. With the universe crumbling, Binary returns to save what is left. But power this great always comes at a price. And at the end of everything, it might begin with her. So I've talked about, I'm not really digging too deep into this Age of Revelation, but as mentioned in my long video, I will be following at least all the number ones to check out which books I'll be wanting to check out later in the future, and maybe even on Marvel Unlimited. This is one I was very much excited for because I really like the work of Stephanie Phillips. I think she brings this kind of like really cool edge to a lot of the characters that she writes. And then Giada Babiso's work on the Laura Kinney series was so cool. Very dynamic fights, very cool character designs, and just overall looked very kick ass. So very much I was looking forward to checking this one out, and it definitely did not disappoint. Uh, the premise itself, it's a little bit weird and twisted, and if you haven't been keeping up with the Age of Revelation, like it's gonna take you a second to get there, but Stephanie Phillips definitely gives enough information for you to at least feel comfortable following this version of Carol Danvers in this alternate future. There's a lot of questions of like how is this binary character, because not only does she have the powers of Carol Danvers, now she also has the powers of the Phoenix residing with her within her, and the town that she's protecting, she's keeping them protected from the X virus by having to be there. So she's also kind of trapped in there with people that continue to not believe that the X virus is a real thing that could affect them, but obviously they don't know because they're being protected, right? So it's a very interesting dynamic. There's also somebody pulling the strings to really unveil something a little bit darker and maybe cause a lot of trouble for this town and a lot of trouble for Carol Danvers and maybe somebody that might be trying to take back or take over the Phoenix Force. So it's very cool. Now, as I mentioned, Velviso's art is so cool. Like, especially when we're seeing binary on the page, there's just a thing that both Belviso's and Rosenberg's colors, they just really make the character pop out of the page. It's very cool. Like I said, well, Giada's designs are so dynamic and fluid. And when things get going into a big fight, or when you have this big splash page with just like fire everywhere, I really, really enjoyed it. So it was a fun book for sure. I look forward to catching this later on in the future, either as a trade. I think this will read better as a trade. I actually enjoyed reading a lot of work from Phillips in trade form to get a complete story. And as I mentioned, there's so many things going on in this new X-Men line that it's really hard to keep up with everything. So I'm gonna treat these as kind of their own books and just enjoy the stories. This one, I don't think it's too connected to everything else, as far as I've read. With a commitment of like, I don't know, like 16 to 20 books launching from this for this new X-Men title. Even though some of these may be just miniseries, it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out, because I don't know how long Marvel's going to keep up with this Age of Revelation for the X-Men. So, either way, this one's one of the books that I'll definitely continue to look forward to. All right, so let's go check out the covers for this book, and then we'll wrap up the video. The main cover is by Ricky Jagawa. I'm not very familiar with their work, but this looks pretty intense. I really like it. We have a Jeremy Wilson variant, which I like. This is more of a painterly style, almost feels like oils on a canvas, which is very cool. And then of course the fire. I think the design of binary combined with the phoenix is actually a very cool idea. We have this Ivan Talavera Virgin variant, so we'll probably see one with the trade dress. We have this David Nakayama variant as well. Next, we have this Francesco Mobili. This is the Revelation variant. So you may be able to see some of these at the shop. Here's the Ivan Talavera with the trade dress. And then we have another Ricky Jagawa binary variant. So this is just more focused on I guess both of here, these are both the Jagawa covers. They're very, very cool actually. So yeah, well, there you have it. Ultimately, I recommend you check out this book if you're a fan of Stephanie Phillips, if you're a fan of Giada Belbiso, if you like the character of Carol Danvers kind of in a different fashion, or if you're just trying to figure out what is going on with the Phoenix Force right now. I'm gonna have to update my buddy Mike because I think he has a website like "What's the Phoenix Up to" or something like that. It keeps track of the Phoenix Force, so we'll have to let him know that needs to be updated with this binary book. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye. The Age of Revelation kicks off with the Amazing X-Men. Let's talk about it in this video. Hello everyone, Danny here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Amazing X-Men #1. This is a new book from Marvel Comics, part of their new Age of Revelation X-Men line. So all the books in the X-Men line, they finished off, they reset, and there's been a couple of issues that really fill you in on what happens in this alternate future where the X-Men are X years in the future. So in this issue, we hope they survive the experience X years later on the run after a deadly clash with Revelation's chief assassin. The shattered X-Men desperately gamble everything on one last mission. With the help from an unexpected ally, they venture into the haunted ruins of Grey Malkin. What they find there may change everything if they can survive. This book is written by Jed MacKay with art by Mahmoud Assar. Matthew Wilson on colors, letters by Clayton Cowles. So I talked a little bit about how it's a very difficult time, I think, to follow the X-Men. And I have a full video on that. But as I mentioned, I will be doing reviews for every #1 issue of these Age of Revelation books. So stay tuned for all those things. So I'll be talking just about the book. If you want my full thoughts on the future of the X-Men and the larger world of the X-Men as a whole, you can check out that video. I'll link it in the description of every review for my Age of Revelation stuff. Um, this was a very interesting book. I like the idea of these X-Men in this uncertain future. They bring in the minds of Beast, Cyclops, and maybe some other allies. We haven't really dug too deep into it, but they need a leader. They need something to help them out. And it's been trials and tribulations for them, right? As Doug Ramsey has become Revelation and really taken over everything that's been going on with the X-Men. You know, the X virus is rampant and out of control. It's a world where yes, the mutants are in charge, but it's not an ideal place like it was back in Krakoa. It almost feels like this is doing a little bit of commentary, this whole Age of Revelation, on like what a darker, more twisted version of the Krakoan era could have been. um I really like the lineup here, specifically this version of Cyclops. Like, you know, he's a Cyclops that has been through a lot in the present, but now he's in this uncertain future. Beast with a very different new look. There's an interesting dynamic, well, especially with a character named Animalia, who I'm not very familiar with, but it seems like they had the beast whose mind Hank is inhabiting seems to have some sort of relationship with Animalia. We also have one of my all-time favorites, Glob Herman. My boys never looked so good, so I appreciate that. And then we have Swarschild, who is another character that seems to be nearer to this world. And what they want to do here, it's really fun to see some characters, especially more recent characters, like from the Gail Simone run, bringing all being brought into this world. This is a world that is full on apocalypse, uh, but we're trying to figure out, is there even anything worth saving? We have a Wolverine that is being controlled by Revelation, who's being set out to take out the X-Men. So overall, it's a pretty interesting premise. This might be one of the books that I continue to check out, at least when the trade collections or maybe on Marvel Unlimited. But like I said, I wanted to check out issue #1. I think Jed MacKay has a very fun understanding of the X-Men and what makes them interesting. And Mahmoud Asrar, like, his art is fantastic. So I'll always check out a book with his art. But at this time, it'll be interesting going forward to see how much of the story can they really get. I think one of the big problems, and this is the only thing I'll mention about my issues with the X-Men line overall. There's about 20 books coming out like in the next couple of weeks. That's a lot to keep up with. So pace yourself, choose, follow. I would recommend follow your creators that you like, and then also use the resources like your local library when the collections are out, or maybe even the Marvel Unlimited app might be worth, even if you're a couple of months behind, might be worth to continue this effort. I haven't been to the shop yet. I don't know exactly which one of these are like very cool covers, so I'll try to refrain myself and try to kind of uphold that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing some of the variant covers. So, as a matter of fact, we will now have our showcase for this episode. So here we have the main cover, Mahmoud Asrar. This is the kind of roster that we're following along. Next, we have this cover by Herman Peralta with the roster as well, but also including we see Storm in the back, and then this version of Wolverine that seems to be an assassin being controlled by Revelation. Next, we have this really cool Mark Bagley Beast variant. I like that they are trying to maybe rehab Beast and giving him a different look. Definitely helps. He reminds me of kind of like this Wendigo like character. Next, we have Mike Hawthorne, the Revelation variant. Uh, Magic and the Dark Child are a very important part of this book, so definitely understand why. Like, if I was gonna buy a cover, this might be the one I'd be looking for, just because I love Magic. And this Sanford Green variant is also very, very cool. Sanford Green has a very unique style, and I really like the designs for him that he did in this book. So, um, those are all the variants for this book. So ultimately, I would say this is a book that I would recommend checking out if you want to continue. This feels to be like the anchor book for the X-Men, like the main one. That would be like your uncanny or your adjectiveless X-Men that would follow the main group. But we'll see. I still haven't checked out everything else, so we'll have to dive deep into more of that stuff. So if you have read Amazing X-Men, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. If you're in New York Comic Con this week, make sure to go say hi to some of these creators. They'll be at the convention. I'm not sure that everyone will be there, but a lot of these guys will be there, and that's going to be really fun. And of course, let me know what you thought of the book, which variant you picked up. As always, thank you for watching and stay tuned. We have a lot more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye. In the Age of Revelation, Laura Kinney has taken on the mantle of Sabretooth, but what does all that mean? Let's dig into it in this video. Hello, everyone. Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Laura Kinney, Sabretooth #1. This is a new book from the X-Men line in the Age of Revelation universe. This is written by Erica Schultz with art by Valentina Pinti, who you may know from the Daredevil Unleash Hell Red Band series. We have colors by Rachel Rosenberg, letters by Corey Petit, main cover by Elena Casagrande and Edgar Delgado. We'll take a look at all the other variant covers as well for this Laura Kinney book. In this book, the all new Sabretooth, X years later, she's taken the name once bitter enemy Sabretooth and fights besides Revelation himself. Why did Laura Kinney abandon her legacy? What secrets does she keep from the mutant world? And when loyalty changes, blood means everything. Uh, Interestingly enough, this book is really focused on the family aspect of Laura Kinney and her decision. We still don't know exactly why she decided to become Sabretooth and why she's protecting Revelation, why she chooses to live in that world. We do know that she has lost someone very important to her, but also we know that she has a son that needs to be cared for. And the only person that can really do that, or the only people that can really do that, are her siblings. In this case, we see Gabby and Akihiro um, come and although their relationship is very fractured, and Erica Schultz really digs into this dynamic. I actually really like Erica Schultz's writing on this family dynamic. I think Akihiro is a really fun character, and of course Gabby, one of my favorites. So yeah, seeing them kind of back together, but not together for sure. And then also digging into why Laura has become the Sabretooth, why she chooses to protect Revelation and work with I mean, ostensibly the bad guy from the series, why she has kind of betrayed her family, but also why she has chosen to have her son Alex go with them instead of staying alongside her. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. We do get to see this new updated version of Logan Wolverine that is just an assassin for Revelation who's being pretty much mind controlled. Akihiro still holds is holding on to the power of the demon, so that's still an ongoing thing as well. So they really grabbed a lot of things that were happening and really kind of stretch them out and continue them onto this alternate universe. So uh, I really like Pinty's art design here. Like it's very savage, definitely what you need for a Wolverine book. Very stylized as well. There are some panels that just really pop out. I think Rachel Rosenberg's colors make that stuff really also come to life. And when the fight gets going, I think that's where Pinty really excels. Like the movements are very fluid, dynamic, a lot of really cool, strong lines. Very heavy inks as well, especially in the characters' faces, so you can really get a hold of the expression. There's something very interesting there. I think she has a very unique style that I don't know. It may not be for everyone, but I really dig it. Um, and of course, there's a lot of twists and turns and trying to figure out what is Laura's final end goal here, and then also what's coming in the future. Right? I've talked a little bit about how there's a large barrier of entry. It almost feels like into these X-Men books. So I'm doing all these issue number one reviews to try to help people figure out which ones they might want to read. A lot of this stuff I'll probably just continue to read on Marvel Unlimited, or maybe when the trade comes out, you can check out my full video talking about why the X-Men line is in such a state and how I plan to go, how I plan to check it out going forward. So let's go take a look at all the variant covers and we'll wrap up this video. All right, so here we have the main cover, as I mentioned, by Casagrande. Next, we have this really cool 1 in 25 Nogi-san variant. I really like this design with a large saber tooth looming over, but also Laura looks pretty freaking cool. Next, we have the Pablo Villalobos. This is a 1 in 50. As you can see, it's a virgin cover. It doesn't have the trade dress. I'm sure there's a cover with the trade dress coming up soon. We have an Anand Ramcharan variant. Not familiar with this artist, but also pretty cool. I like the little thing in the background. You see the X23 in the building. A little homage there. We have a Dan Jurgens Revelation cover. And here we see, I guess, Zane, who maybe was the previous Sabretooth. We don't really know a lot about Zane yet, but here's the Villalobos cover with the trade dress, as I mentioned. And Ricky Yagawa, an artist that I had not seen much work before this X-Men line. So looks like Ricky's getting a lot of cover work via this new X-Men line of books. And then back to the main cover from Casa Grande. So ultimately, I think this is a fun book. I look forward to checking this out when the series is collected, or like I mentioned, on Marvel Unlimited. I think that Schultz is a fantastic writer that really understands how to make these characters feel really cool and just kind of appealing to follow along with the story. Pinty's art really checks out a lot of the boxes that I like, and especially in a Sabretooth slash Laura Kinney slash Wolverine book. Like I want to see these big fights, big, a little bit of violence, but also the family conflict also coming to the surface. So as always, let me know if you have read this book, what you thought about it, and please stay tuned. We have a lot more comic book reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps. We have our live shows on the weekends. A lot of stuff really cool in the channel. So thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye. If you think you know what a prison story looks like, Deluge number one is about to drown all your expectations. So let's talk about that in this video. Hello, folks. Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast, your home for comic reviews, breakdowns, and first looks at a lot of these new comic books. Today, we are diving into Deluge #1 from Ignition Press. This is a comic that wears its tension on every page, and by the end, you won't see things the same way. This book is written by Cullen Bunn with art by America Cresta, colors by Rhonda Pattinson, and lettering by Ann Wall Design. Ignition Press is a fairly new publisher, but I really have been enjoying all the titles. I was able to pick up the little ash can for this book, but now I've gotten to read the full first issue. So it's really, really cool. They've been making a lot of really cool original titles, and this is one of them. I like that this one really leans into the suspense, horror, psychological tension of everything that's going on. And this book really gives you that right off the bat. So let's dive in. Deluge is a horror thriller set in Searsville Correctional Prison for Women, where flooding is encroaching on the facility, but the water is doing more than just threatening the infrastructure. Something mysterious and deadly is coming with it. One of the strengths of this issue 1 is how efficiently it really introduces everything to this world. Colin Bunn is a very experienced writer with like just years of experience doing comic books, so he's very good at world building. We really get a sense of the hierarchy, the dangers of the prison, the emotional stakes, and also a lot of the different characters that reside in this prison. You really feel the urgency and the tension start to rise from page 1. Now, the art is really a standout for me. Marika Cuesta really captures the claustrophobia of the prison life with tight corridors, the barred windows, dripping walls. There are a lot of scenes where there's just a lot of people in them, and you really have to look to see where everything is going. I think these type of settings really require something like that. A lot of heavy use of shadows. The visual storytelling really sells me on everything that's going on here from the brink. So, and then of course, Rhonda Pattinson's colors are a little bit more muted as everything is kind of there's a lot of less freedom right in this setting, especially when the water starts coming. I really found myself like a little bit tense reading some of these panels, like what's going, like when are things about to pop off, when's the other shoe gonna drop, especially when a lot of these characters are isolated or they obviously don't have a lot of uh, free movement throughout. That really makes them feel vulnerable, and that's not easy to pull off, especially for characters that I've met only a few pages ago. I think what makes Deluge a memorable #1 is that big surprise at the end. So I won't go into details, but just let me say that the issue resets everything that you thought you understood about this book, the characters, the relationships, and it really reframes the motivations and sets up like some really cool, fresh tension for what's to come. I think because of that, everything that precedes the comic feels heavier in hindsight. Like you kind of took for granted everything that was going on, and it really balances everything just enough to set up the mystery. The pacing just really keeps you turning the pages, and it really makes you wish you had the next issue right away. If I had anything to say, is that there's definitely a lot going on, so just take your time with this one. But honestly, I think a story like this compressed with tension really works in favor of the story. So I really, really had a good time with this one. Okay, now before we close out, let's go take a look at some of the variant covers for this book. So we have, of course, the main cover here by Marika Cresta. This is what you'll probably see at your shop, but there's a couple of more things here. Ignition Press does not do a lot of covers, but we do have another variant cover by Marika Cresta. This one gives you a little bit more of an inclination of like what may be under the surface. And then we have this really, really cool James Stokoe cover. This is a 1:5 ratio cover. And James Stokoe is an artist that I really, really enjoy. So hopefully I'm able to pick this one up. So really, really like this one. And then we are back to the main cover. So uh, all told, Deluge #1 is powerful. It delivers fun, a wild adventure that really anchors itself deeply with dread. The world that is introduced just very precise in everything that it's trying to tell you, as opposed to just really put everything out on the line. It's very deliberate in the choices that it's making. The art, of course, amplifies that in every way. And it really shows, especially when the twist kind of happens. I think this is one series that I'm very much looking forward to keep reading. So if you like a comic that blends horror, survival, psychological tension, and maybe a bit of mystery, put Deluge on your radar. add it to your pull list, and at least give this issue number one a try, or maybe see if your shop has these little ashkins still so you can pick up and get a little flavor of the story. So if you enjoyed this review, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more comic book reviews, breakdowns, and ring that bell so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming videos and analysis. Drop a comment which variant cover that you like the best. Are you going to New York Comic Con? Because you will be able to see some of these people there. So if you have done so, let me know down in the comments. And what are your predictions for where this book is going next? So thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye. If you think you've seen every story about one ordinary guy that gets caught up in something way bigger, wait until you read The Guy in the Chair number one, a new book from Dark Horse. Let's talk about it in this video. Welcome back to the channel. Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast, where comic books come to life every week. Let's talk about one of Dark Horse's most intriguing debuts. This is The Guy in the Chair number one. I was very much looking forward to this because I know that some of the creative team, I read some of their stuff before, but this is a brand new comic from Dark Horse Comics, a grounded mystery with relatable characters, a surprising twist, and a tone that is going to keep you hooked from start to finish. So, The Guy in the Chair number one is co-written by Hannah Rose May and Utkarsh Amdekar. Apologies if I mispronounced any of those names. With art by Guillermo Sana and colors by Deborah Kelly. Letters by Steve Wands. This is a great comic book. Dark Horse has a great record of really bringing really fun stories like this. So at first, although the premise here may seem familiar, like, an average person that finds themselves wrapped up in something maybe way over their head, but what makes this book shine is how the setup really evolves into something deeper. It's not just another regular guy getting thrown into a weird situation, not another reluctant hero story. It's about perspective and what happens when ordinary life collides with extraordinary circumstances. The writing really hooks you because you think this is a by the book type of story in the first issue, but as we dive deeper into the story, you know that that's not truly the case. The characters are very relatable, like people that are just going and trying to do their best at work. The reactions that feel genuine, the dialogue flows naturally, and I would love to see how the writing team really interacted and brought this book to kind of life for this. The book, it makes it feel like these people are real. They exist in the real world. They don't feel like just characters on a comic book page. The grounding to this makes the strange and mysterious element feel a little more impactful as the world kind of builds as the pages turn. So when things really start to unravel, you feel the confusion and tension right alongside with them. The art is fantastic, just capturing the atmosphere of the story, where something may seem a little bit mundane and like an everyday thing, but then things that start to evolve. There's kind of a cinematic pace to this, and it really feels like they're bringing this world to life as things start to kind of collide upon themselves. And I think the color palette really shifts beautifully between like this warmth, normal everyday life, to this unease as the things start kind of falling apart, like something's not right here, but it's very subtle, and it just kind of makes a difference as you're kind of pulled into this environment. So throughout the issue itself, there's a quiet air of mystery. There's a lot of little things and clues just to keep you guessing. Like, it's not enough to reveal everything that's going on, but it makes you feel like there's something going on. But the story doesn't rush itself to explain anything. It just kind of earns and asks for your curiosity to kind of keep going. So, and then at the end, it just kind of lands perfectly. A really fun cliffhanger, the kind of reveal that really changes on how you view things. It really guarantees that you want to come back and keep going with the series. So I think that's what really got me going. Like I said, I was already a fan of Hannah Rose May from her previous series, Exorcism at 1600 Pen from IDW, which we talked about and covered on this channel. But then when I saw that there was a whole team up for this new book, I was like, well, I got to check this out. So big shout out to Dark Horse for sending us a review copy for this. So normally I do a variant cover showcase, but there's only one cover for this book. So let's wrap up the video. Overall, I think The Guy in the Chair is a really fun, great first issue, a story that digs into some familiar territory but really evolves into something that's a little bit more fresh and engaging with real characters, a nice mystery that keeps you invested, and the art really complements the tone. It's one of those comics that once you get the final page, you're like, when's this next one coming out? Because I want to get into it. As a matter of fact, this might be one of those books that I read as a collection only because I think this genre will be better that way. The pacing of the book really showed that, but I'm glad I checked out this number one because then it now puts this book on my radar and on my pull list. So I can't wait to go to my shop and pick it up. So if you have read The Guy in the Chair number one, drop a comment and tell me what you thought of that ending. Did you see it coming? But don't get too spoilery for everyone else in the comments. Also, if you're going to New York Comic Con, the week of the release, you might be able to see some of these creators there. So make sure to go check that out. If you're new here, make sure to like, subscribe, share the video, and of course, ring that bell so you don't miss out on these weekly comic book reviews, breakdowns. So thank you for watching, and remember that every comic book has a story beyond the panels, and I love to dig into it. So thank you for watching. Bye bye. Experience this new series where divine intervention meets a very dark compromise. Let's talk about Marian Heretic in this video. Welcome back to the channel where comic books come to life every week. Today we are diving into a brutal new Boom Studios debut. This is Marian Heretic number one, a wild, bold, and full of action comic book, yet somehow its quiet moments are the ones that make you stop breathing. My name is Daniel Martinez from the Next Issue Podcast, and in this video, we are doing a review for Marian Heretic number one from Boom Studios. This is a comic book that mixes religious horror, monster hunting, and rebellion, all wrapped up into one dynamic visual gut punch of tension. Marian Heretic number one is written by Tini Howard, with art by Joe Jaro, colors by Walter Biamonte, and letters by Jim Campbell. Boom Studios is a building really a reputation for having like these bold creator driven stories, especially when it comes to the horror space and speculative genres. This is one title that definitely fits that mold perfectly. Now, at first glance, Marian Heretic may look like it's leaning into some familiar territory, a warrior nun, religious conflict, monster threats, but then it starts to twist all those tropes. What feels familiar becomes strange, uncomfortable, and compelling. You sense early that there is more to discover beneath the surface, a darker mythology, ethical compromises, the inner conflict within Marian. The first issue really teases a lot of that complexity without giving everything away, but it definitely puts all the pieces where you want to see them. Visually, this book really delivers as well. Joe Jarro's art is bold and it's visceral when it needs to be. The character designs themselves are pretty gnarly, detailed, aggressive, distinctive. They really, really stick to your memory. In action sequences, the panels feel very kinetic, dynamic, very brutal at some points, and you really feel the momentum, the impact, the blood. But really, the impressive thing is when the book actually slows down, even in those quieter panels, there's a lot of tension. The shadows, the silence, the expressions, those moments to me land extra hard because of how the art frames them. There are some panels where we really zoom in to see the reactions, and maybe even not show everything that's happening, but it is really the reader knows that it's happening, which I appreciate. The book allowing the reader to kind of have some interpretation of all these moments. Viamonte's colors really add the right mix of mood and contrast, the darkness, the glow of some lights, the candles. There is a lot of graphic weight, and then the lettering is very crisp and it really supports the tone without calling attention to itself. So underneath all of the spectacle, Marian Heretic is wrestling with themes of faith, loyalty, betrayal, identity, and even sacrifice. Marian herself seems torn, fighting monsters but also battling this guilt, the secrecy, and the weight of her own beliefs. The question this issue really raises is how far is she willing to go, and what is she willing to lose in order to protect everything that she believes in, and then also those around her. This is the kind of tension that really drives the narrative beyond just the spectacle. And the ending, man, it really lands with that impact, not just as a cliffhanger, but as a shift in perspective. It forces you to reconsider the role of Marion and everything that's been going on in this issue, where the stakes are real and how we're gonna be going forward. Um, it's kind of that last page that really makes you want to see that issue 2 right away, and you want to see how are things going to move forward or where things are going to spiral to from here. So yeah, it's really really cool. One of my favorite reads already this week, and there's a lot of really exciting stuff coming out this week. So let's go check out some of the variants. We like to do a little showcase here. Of course, we have the main variant by Joe Jaro. Next, we have this really cool 616 Comics Elite Comic Traders by Nathan Zerdy. I really like the penciling on this one, like very thick lines. We also have this other variant color by Zerdy as well. We have the A and Z comic version variant, so that's really cool, very painterly style. Here we have the Suspiria Vilkis Virgin variant cover. Once again, I like that. Obviously, Marion is the main character here, so we get to see a lot of her in these first few covers. We have a Dylan Burnett cover. This is cover B, so you should be able to find this at your shop. This is not a ratio cover or anything like that. Next, we have the Jenny Frizen Boom Studios 20th anniversary. Jenny Frizen will be at New York Comic Con along with a lot of these other creators. So if you're in the area, maybe you want to pick this up and take it over there to get signed. We have a Virgin cover by Joe Jaro. We also have another Jenny Frizen with the black and white. And then some other variants. These are foil variants of the ones we've seen before as well. So you'll be able to get a lot of these and this really cool black variant. I love black blank covers because the commissions that you're able to get on these turn out really gnarly. And then we have a regular blank cover as well. We have this really cool Vincento Riccardi. This is a 1 in 50 ratio cover. And then we have a design spot foil variant with just the symbolism. So yeah, very cool stuff. Let me see. We have this Q Young Yum New York Comic Con 2025 exclusive. So if you're going to the convention, maybe you can pick this up. We have this Vedev Shavina, another New York exclusive. And then we are back to our main cover by Joe Jaro. So that was man, because of New York Comic Con, a lot of these books have a lot of extra covers. So this is a perfect time to jump on to this. So but yeah, Marion Heretic #1 has an impressive debut. It's bold, it's violent, it's stylistic. Everything you want in a modern dark fantasy comic, yet it never forgets to create space for dread, for the soul, for silence, for like these little moments that really drive the point home. The familiar tropes are there, but they're all kind of twisted up. The characters are intriguing, and the art is really, truly unforgettable. And then, of course, let's not talk about that ending. That really seals the deal for me. I'm on board with Marion Heretic. So if you like comic books that mix horror, religious tension, that have strong female leads, or just jaw-dropping visuals, this one's one you want to pick up. And if you have read Marion Heretic, let me know your reactions in the comments. Let me know which cover spoke to you, or maybe which one you were able to pick up, especially if you attended New York Comic Con. And then what are your predictions for the journey going forward? If you're new here, make sure to go ahead and like, subscribe, ring that bell, and do not miss out on future reviews, cover showcases, and of course, more comic book deep dives. Thank you for watching, and remember, every comic book has a story beyond the page, and that's what we're here to find. So thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.